Welcome to learning how to write a conclusion for an expository essay. Wait a second. It doesn't say conclusion. There we go. We're going to learn to write a conclusion for an expository essay. Now, I was teasing you with that first slide where it said introduction, but the reason I did that is because if you can write an introduction, a conclusion is really similar. That was a silly way to connect the two, but I hope that it helps you remember that a conclusion repeats a lot of the stuff that's in your intro. I like to think of it almost like the introduction and the conclusion are the bookends for your essay. One gets your reader started, and the other finishes up the job. So let's look at the strategy. And as we do, I hope you're constantly trying to connect back to what you remember from introductions. You'll find they have a lot in common. All right. So the big idea here is a conclusion to a fifth grade persuasive or opinion essay has three main parts. You'll probably remember that an intro has two parts. A conclusion has three parts, and as we go through, let's see which parts of the conclusion are just like the intro and what thing is brand new. So when you write your conclusion paragraph, you start with this thing that I like to call connect to the hook. And I underlined hook because you're already good at writing intros that have hooks. They get the reader interested. In your conclusion, your first job is to connect back to your hook. You're going to repeat parts of your hook or remind your reader about your hook. The whole point of that is you want to remind your reader why they were interested in your topic in the first place. Maybe you told a story that got them interested, or maybe you asked a question that got them thinking about the topic. Regardless of how you got them hooked in the intro, you're going to repeat some of those ideas to remind them in the end that they really care about your topic. After that, you repeat your position statement. Hopefully that sounds really familiar because a position statement is also in your intro. In your conclusion, you're going to repeat your position statement. Kind of think of it like you're arguing your point. At the end of your argument, you want to remind your reader why you're right. You want them to walk away with all of your strongest ideas fresh in their mind. That way they're more likely to agree with your opinion. So you're reminding your reader of your position, whether you're for or against something, and those claims that you wrote about to support it. So as they walk away, they're thinking, hey, that writer was right. We should do that, and they gave me some really good reasons. After you do those two things, the last piece is called ascending. That's the new part. That's the thing that really makes your conclusion different from your intro. Ascending basically means you're either giving your reader a task, you're saying, hey, go do this, or you're asking your reader to think more about your position. You might say something like, I hope next time you'll consider whatever it is you're trying to prove. So you're going to either end by telling your reader, go do something, or go think about something. Let's look at some of the intros that we had in the last video, and we're going to use those to see what a conclusion might look like to fit that particular intro. All right, so over here on the side, over here on the right, I left the three parts of a conclusion. So I left our reminder we're going to connect to the hook. I left the reminder that we're going to repeat the position statement, and then finally end with ascending. On this slide, I also have the intro. This one's probably in your writing notebook if you're in my class. If you're not in my class, that's okay, but you've seen this one in our intro video. This is the intro that we modeled. But now this time I have an example introduction and I have a conclusion that I wrote that would go in the same essay as this intro. So the only thing missing here are the body paragraphs. All right, so now let's check it out. The intro goes like this. Close your eyes and imagine the perfect pet. Are you imagining a furry dog, a soft kitten, or even a fuzzy hamster? Chances are you never even considered that the perfect pet might have scales instead of fur. You might find it surprising, but reptiles make excellent pets. In fact, reptiles are the best choice for a pet because reptiles are less likely to cause damage to your home, because reptiles can be inexpensive to care for, and because reptiles bond with humans just like more typical pets do. And last time we found the beginning here where they ask you to imagine the different things that you think of with a pet. That was my hook. And then my position statement was right here where I told about how reptiles are great pets because they don't damage your home, they're inexpensive, and they bond with humans. So this had a hook and it had a position statement. Now let's take a look at the conclusion that I wrote. And then we're going to go back and see if we can spot the 3 different pieces of a conclusion and think about how they came from my introduction. So let's check out this conclusion. People usually think of dogs and cats when they imagine a pet, but perhaps now you are better able to imagine a reptile in that picture. Reptiles really do make excellent pets because they don't tear up your house like a dog will. They don't cost you an arm and a leg in food and care, and they will learn to love their owners just like any fuzzy pet will. So, next time you head to the pet store to choose a new friend, expand your ideas and consider a reptile companion. All right, so thinking about our strategy, the first thing I should find is where I connect back to my hook. Over here in my intro, the hook was asking people to imagine the perfect pet. Oops, I did not mean to do that in yellow. Let me try that again. There we go. I asked people to imagine the perfect pet, and then we talked about, are you imagining a dog or a kitten? So I started with the imagine hook and connected the idea of like, what would you imagine for a pet? So over here, that happened again. Here I even used, people usually think of dogs and cats when they imagine a pet, but perhaps you are better able to imagine a reptile in that picture. So what I did is I continued with that imagining strategy, and I connected back to people imagining a dog or cat, but now they might be able to imagine a reptile. This hook, these ideas that were in my hook, I'm connecting back to them. I'm getting my reader to think about them again. Next, I should be seeing the repetition or the repeating of the position statement. So in my intro, the position statement told people reptiles are the best choice for a pet, and then it gave these claims. They don't damage your home, they're inexpensive, and they bond with humans. So in my conclusion, my goal is to remind the reader of my position again. I'm going to say, hey, here's what I think is best, and then here's why I think that. So looking at the next part of my conclusion, it says, reptiles really do make excellent pets. That's what I said earlier in my position statement. They don't tear up your house like a dog will. That connects back to don't damage your home. They don't cost you an arm and a leg. That's the same as inexpensive. And they will learn to love their owners. That's the same as bond with humans. So I rewrote my position statement. Notice it's all the same ideas. I just used different wording to say it. Now that can be complicated. Do your best try. Sometimes parts of your position statement you're going to end up repeating exactly, but always ask yourself, are there synonyms? Are there other words I could use? Are there any phrases I could use that mean that? Like for example, when here I wrote damage your home, and here I wrote don't tear up your house. Here I wrote inexpensive, but in my conclusion I write doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. And here I wrote bond with humans, and then here I wrote learn to love their owners. I thought of different ways to say it. Finally, you'll have to forgive me, I don't have a pink, is the sending. If I had the option, I would do that one in pink. So the sending is when you give your reader a task. You tell your reader what to do now that they have heard your opinion. Or you ask your reader to think more closely about something. Now that you've given them this info, you want them to go do some deep thinking. And so that's what I've done here at the end. I said, so next time you head to the store, To choose a new friend, expand your ideas and consider a reptile companion. I'm asking them, next time you go to the pet store, don't just get a hamster because you're used to it. Think about it. Consider if you might like to have a reptile. So I gave them a task. The big idea here is, in my intro I have a hook. In my conclusion, I connected right back to that hook. In my intro, I have a position statement. In my conclusion, I repeated it with new words. And then my conclusion ends with this sending. This is brand new. Your sending isn't anywhere else in all of this essay. This is the only chance that you get to end with, give your reader something to do that they can do now that they have this new information that you have explained to them. So let's look at another example just to help cement this, and then I'll explain to you what your task is. All right, so now we have another introduction and another conclusion. And as a reminder, I left all the details of what goes in a conclusion on the right-hand side so we can keep those fresh in our mind. All right, example introduction. When you consider your future, have you ever thought about your future job? Most jobs that pay well require a college education. For many families, the cost of college might prevent them from sending their kids. This can prevent people from getting the future jobs they dream of. But there's a solution to this problem: free college. College should be free for everyone because it encourages kids to work harder in school, it helps more families get out of debt, and it helps all Americans to be more educated. And again, last time we found all three parts of this intro. We recognized that they were using the strategy of asking people to imagine by asking a question. So it's kind of a double intro. All of this is that imagine this situation. When you think about your future job, what do you imagine? And then start thinking, how are you going to get the college you want? So there's my hook. After that, I dropped my position statement. I think college should be free for everyone. So I'm going to underline my position. College should be free for everyone. And then I've got my three claims. It encourages kids to work harder in school, it helps more families get out of debt, and it helps all Americans to be more educated. So I've got my hook, and I've got my position statement. All right, now let's check out a conclusion that should include the three components. As I read, be on the lookout for where does it connect back to the hook? Where do I repeat the position statement, but with slightly different wording? And what is the task that I'm giving my reader, whether it's a task to do or it's a thinking task? All right, here we go. Now, as you consider your future job, you are probably thinking about the value of going to college and the cost involved. As you can see, we must make college be free for everyone because it helps kids see the value of working hard in school. It supports families to be financially strong, and it helps increase the average education level of all Americans. Spread the word. Everyone deserves a chance to go to college. All right, so first, my job was to connect back to the hook, and I did that here in the beginning. In my intro, I said, when you consider your future, have you ever thought about your future job? And then I connected that to jobs that pay well usually require college. And so I'm going to do that again here. I've got future job, value of going to college, and cost involved. I'm repeating that idea of a future job, the value of college, and the cost. Oops, let me box that better so it doesn't cut off the other word. There we go. Thanks for your patience. All right, so all these get repeated. Job, future job, jobs paying well, cost of college, cost involved. I'm just repeating ideas to remind my reader why they care. Next, my job is to repeat the position statement. I want to remind the reader of my opinion and the claims that support it. So my opinion was college should be free for everyone, and I wrote it right here. College should be free for everyone. And then my claim was about kids working harder, and here I have kids see the value of working hard. Oops, I should connect up here too. We talked about it supports families to be financially strong, and here I talked about families getting out of debt. Same general idea. And here we have increasing Americans' education level, and here I said Americans are more educated now. So altogether, all of this is just my position statement. I just rewrote it in new words so that it was fresh to my reader, but it reminded them of everything I was trying to convince them of. Finally, I have my sending. I'm going to give my reader a task, something to do, or ask them to do some deeper thinking. So for this one, I just wrote, spread the word. That's their task. Go out and tell other people this. Spread the word. Everyone deserves the chance to go to college. It's pretty simple sending, but I feel like it gets the job done. So here's how you can look at your intro that you've already written and use it to write a powerful conclusion that kind of brings it all together for your essay. All right, now it's your turn. You are going to practice writing persuasive conclusion paragraphs using this handout. Your teacher will give this to you, or you might already have it. Take a look at it. The directions are here at the top. It just asks you to read each introduction paragraph and then write a conclusion paragraph for an essay that would work with the intro paragraph given. And so these are really similar to the last page you did like this, except this time I wrote the hook and the position statement. So you have to write a conclusion that would match. If you're having a hard time remembering the strategy, it's right here. I just took a copy of that slide and put it right there in the assignment so you can go through step by step and include all three parts. You have the same two position statements as before, but like I said, I added a hook, so now you have the whole intro paragraph. Your job is going to be to write me the conclusion. I'll be looking, did you connect back to the hook that I used? Did you repeat the position statement, but try to put it a little bit in your own words? And did you end with a sending? Did you end by telling your reader to do something or ask them to think about something? All right, it's up to you now. I can't wait to read all your great ideas.